is Bosi Legani Tov Shechaf Aleph. So, even kloli, this sugya is, or this mamer is split into two, and that's how we're going to learn it. There's the first shtickle, which is discussing the union of Shemus, and then there's another biur, which is specifically the union of Shem Tzvokes and the word of Netzach Beheid. It's more of a Avedidikim. So what we're going to do now is hopefully try and understand the Eifen Kloli and then get involved more with Pratis to understand what is the Chiddush of the Rebbe in this mamer. B'chlal, every time Komuven, there's a mamer or the Rebbe spoke in Indian, there's always Ben Ashuris, there's another word which a new Eifen, the way the Rebbe was magdir things. And it was always the arbit of the manichim to try and figure out, like, if there's a chiddush over here, if it's a new knech. But in Bosi Lgani mamorim, then the chiddush was always open. There's no remez, there's nothing, afterwards when the mamer went into Hagoy, so motaris gebracht the chiddush. The mamorim over here in Bosi Lgani, the Rebbe was clearly bringing out a naya inyan. Imam is written like a pilpul. There's no other mamorim which are like this. It's like in the sprach of Nigla would be called like a ma'aroche. The Rebbe Pasha brings from the Baal Shem Tov, the Alter Rebbe, leading to a new word. So obviously, Milsal Bishayu Yakire, Bachsidim is tired, a word from the Rebbe and Chassidus of Deir Shvi. It's the Chassidus which is specifically Shaykh to our Deir. And over here you have these mamorim, which the mamorim from Bosi Legani, which bring out always a new inyan, which is kemuven, means befrata shachs Shavat. This is the inyanim from Deir Shvi. So there's a special geschmack in handling with the inyanim. All that takes is the arbit, it's kemunach b'kuf, so all we have to do is pick it up and to try and understand what's happening. So let's begin, first of all, the chlolos, and what the plan is over here, what we're going to try and do, and then we'll get involved with pratis. It says in Ayem Yem, in Yud Aleph Tishrei, as Tovkuf Nun Vav, Motzim Kippur, the Alter Rebbe said a Torah. And the Torah of the Alter Rebbe went in three stages. First, he said, Shitas HaPardes, as the Pardes holds that a law of V'leilim Midesov is referring to the Eres and not to the Kelim. Then he said, Shitas HaBaal Shem Tov, the Rebbe the Baal Shem Tov had gesagt, as it's not referring to the Eres, it's referring to the Chayes of the Kelim Atzma. Then is gekommen the Alter Rebbe's Chiddush, and this is already like the Rebbe's Madgish in the Maimer, the Chiddush of Chabad, as a love V'leilim Midesov is Kipshutei. A love is referring to that. Das heißt, when a Yid, as a Pashut Yid, davens a Tefillah Pshuta, with Kavanah Pshuta, referring to the Eibishter, it reaches the Eibishter only. Now, in our Maimer, the Rebbe brought these three Mahalchim, the Shittas HaPardes, the Shittas HaBaal Shem Tov, and the Chiddush of the Alter Rebbe, and we're going to try and handle with it. First of all, to understand what they are, what's the Svaris or Machlekes, or what even the Pirish Amilas, what does it mean that the Shemus is the Eres of the Spheres, or the Shemus is the Chayes of the Spheres? And then we have to understand the Alter Rebbe. Obviously, it's very schwer that the Alter Rebbe is arguing with the Baal Shem Tov. And the Alter Rebbe, Chassidus Chabad, is coming to explain the Baal Shem Tov, not to argue. So, darf man verstehen, what's the Alter Rebbe doing over here? Especially that the word of the Alter Rebbe is l'cheira mamish counterintuitive. It's opposite of what you would expect. The Baal Shem Tov is saying Alikus is the Chayes of Kelim. So the Baal Shem Tov is referring to Gvul. Comes the Alter Rebbe and says, no, Atzmus. It's if you would want to be Mesada, the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, l'chure, you would say it should be punkt verkehrt. Baal Shem Tov redt Emunah, Pshitis, and the Alter Rebbe is holds of Tzir, of Seichel, of bringing into Hagbola. So there's something interesting happening over here. So once we're going to understand these three Mahalchim, the Pardes, the Baal Shem Tov, and the Alter Rebbe, we'll have to see how the Rebbe learned it. The Rebbe has what should l'cheira be called the fourth Mahalch. The Bosi Legani Chaf Aleph, the Rebbe takes these three inyanim, and first of all shows how be'emes, the Alter Rebbe, and the Baal Shem Tov is one. And everything is more with a whole new air. Lefiza is Masbir Anaya Emek in a Torah from the Magi. It's a whole new Mahalach, which is clearly the Mahalach in a Torah of Deira Shri. It's the Rebbe's Chassidus Anaya Eifen in learning this sugi. So we have our work cut out for us. What we're going to do is, Mistam over, like we said, we'll split up this mamer in two. So today and next week we'll focus on this singing. And then closer to Shavat, we'll do at the end of the Maimir, the sugya of Netzach V'Heid, Tzvokis, that's in B'fnei Atzmi. So, just to be clear, like every Indian, you have to learn Menakala Lakovit. So we're going to try and do, first of all, Pashat, to try and learn the Pashtas, and then we'll get involved, Tifer and Tifer, looking for more sharper Hagdaris. So even if if you learn the Mamarim or if you didn't, we're going to try as much as possible to begin with the Pashtus. Okay. Any questions, concerns, comments? Klain, we know where we're going? See, there's a lot of people at Snei Leches over here. People are hiding their faces. See? Instead, they have what to be embarrassed about. Okay, so let's begin with the pashtus of the sugi. Bichlal, we know that the Eibishter has more than one name. And Be'efen Kloli already in the Rambam, says before Kabbalah, there's what's called Shema Mefurish, or sometimes Shema Etzem, and Shema Havaya, that's the Eibishter himself, that's his name. Like you have a person who has a name. And then there is Shemus, which are Shema Kinui, which is Kel, Lekim, Shakai, Tzvokes, V'chol. Now the difference is, the Pashtus, Shem Lekim, Shem Havai is his name. Like you would have in a person who has a name. Who is he? His name is Yosef, Reuven, Shimon, person. Then you have a title. A title and a name are two different things. A title is referring to a certain work or a certain tchuna that he has. You could say this is his job, this is his yechelesen, he's a chacham, he's a giber. It's a different kind of name. So al derech zeh is all the names of the Eibishter and Shema Etzem. Now, it says in Medrash that Mika Shem Lekenu love, as what's the Aveda of the Yid, has to be a love v'leila midesef. A love means to him. And a person shouldn't be davening to the Eibishter thinking about midas chesed or midas gvur. On the other hand, it says, Efrat and Sifrei Kabbalah, that a person should be mechaven b'Shem. It's not das. It says already in Gemara that people which are not yedei lechaven b'Shem, the tefillah is not successful. So the question is, should we have a focus on the midas of the Eibishter, the different tchunas? We know that Keil is chesed and Elikim is gvura v'chulu, or a love alena midesav. So it's mamish a stira. When a yid davens, should he be thinking about milas of the atar giber, or thinking the kavanah of the shemus, or only thinking atzmus the Eibishter himself? That's one issue which we have to deal with. Another issue is more simple. Why do we have to have names? You call somebody, you're a lawyer or you're a gibber if you don't know his name. If you know his name, you're talking to him himself. When a yid wants to daven to the Eibishter, he wants to daven to Hashem. like the bewusste tshuva Rivash, that best is to be mispalal adaz atinik, just like a child. When he says Eibishter, he means Eibishter, and it's accurate because he's referring to the Eibishter, is a good. So what are we trying to do? Why are we getting busy b'chlal and shemis? So one kasha is the stira elov elelemidesav to the chiyuv to be mechaven b'shem. Another kasha is more b'pashtus. Why should I have any time any union of shemis? Just look at the Eibishter. A third issue, which has to be mevurer, is what's the hagdaras achiluk zwischen shema etzem and the zayin shemis? Meaning, we know already that the zayin shemis, shem shenim chakim, are referring to the keil alekim, and they are certain tchunos. Aber sof sof, shemis are also referring to him. And we know that keil is Hashem. So somehow or another, in the one hand, these are considered names, and they are derech shema etzem. Like sometimes it says even that you could. That's why it says havaya lekim or havaya shakai, because the mischaber l'shem havaya. On the other hand, they are beferish not havaya. We need a sharper hagdara what it is. Adkan is just, these are the questions which Kabbalah is dealing with as a Agdoma to understand this sugi. So comes the Pardes. Yeah, the Pardes is the Ramak, who was the Rebbe of the Arizal. This is before the Kabbalah's Arizal, so the whole Kabbalah is, the Ramak doesn't know of the Tzimtzum and doesn't know of a lot of the Inyanim which the Arizal was Megala. So this is what we would call older Kabbalah. Is the Ramak comes and is masbir how shemus are supposed to work. It says as there are, as we know in Spheres, Kelim and Eris. In Hasbara language, that would be, you have the, let's say in Nefesh Adam, you have the Tchunas of Chachma and Bina, or you have the Ivarim of Yadayim and Lgani, and then you have the Ir HaNefesh, which is Meir. So, it says as the shemus of the Eibishter are not the Midas, are not the Tchunas. It's not Chesed or Gvurim. The shemus of the Eibishter is the Nefesh which is behind them. It's Kilonema, the identity of the Eibishter himself, which is behind these spheres. It's the air, not the cave.
Rabbi, you're on mute.
We're good? For how long have I been on mute?
Not so long. Rewind 10 seconds.
Okay. So let's just let's backtrack. When a person has a midah, any midah that exists, there's the tziyur of the midah. There is what, and then there is the I. So the pashtus, there's a person says love, av. So av is a concept. Av could be, you could write a song which has in it a hergish. You could write, and there's such a musik. Then there is what's behind the ave, there's the ichoblip. And that's the real chayus of ave. When ave is detached from a person, so it became a concept. There's no lebedikite, obviously, in the ave. Al derech zeh in everything. Al derech zeh is even in the Ivarim. You have the Ivarim Gashrim, and then there's the Nefesh, which is Meir in them. When I'm referring to a person, I could be talking about his midah. I could say midas hachesed or midas hagvurim. That's not him. That's something that he owns, that he possesses, but it's not him. Masha'enkin, the I love, that is him. Nochmer. Not only is I love and I fear him, but they are the same him. There's no difference between the ich of ich verstehe and ich hab lieb. There's one ich. So the Ave shebezeh or the verstandig shebezeh are two different inyanim. Meichim and mitzvah are different worlds. But the I of both of them, there's only one I. And that's why I would call the Eir Ki'ilu, the Pshitas HaNefesh, which is Meir in each one of them. So, in the Tzemach Tzedek's Lashon, there's Chesed and there's Gvura. Chesed and Gvura are two distinct things. They're opposites, the opposite ideas. But then there's a different word. Chazdon, Chosid, Giber. Over here, we're not referring to Midas HaChesed, we're referring to a person of Chesed. That is the Eir. So Chesed is the Keli, Chazdon is the Eir. Now, Chazdon and Giber are not two different things. It's referring to the same person. In other words, the eye of Chesed and the eye of Gvura, theoretically, the same Eir would be able to be mislavish in a different midah, because there's only one eye over here. Zok the Pardes, Linyonenu, when I'm referring to a Shem of the Eibishter, I'm not referring, when I say Shem Keil B'Chesed, I'm not referring to the midas. I'm not referring to midas HaChesed. Why? We don't daven to midas HaChesed, we daven to the Eibishter. Le'idach, I'm also not referring to Atzmus, which is Shem Havai. I'm referring to Atzmus the way is Melubish in Kalim. It's the Eiris which are of the Kalim. Meaning, it's Chazdon. This is the Mamutzu. Chosid. And over here, I have both milas. On the one hand, I'm referring to him the way he is in a certain seer. Le'idach, I'm referring to him. So I'm not davening to anything separate from the Eibishter. And that's the mila of saying Shemus versus saying Midas. So far, so good? Ist verständig? Now, Le'idoch, darf ich jetzt fragen, what's the necessity to get involved in Shemus Bichlal? We're explaining why it's okay to say Shemus because it's referring to the Eir, which is him, and not the Kelim. Okay. Why Bichlal do we have to talk any Shemus? Let's just say Shem Havai. Let's just say Atzmus. Let's just say him. Is Mavur. It's in Sherish Misa Tfilah, in the copy, in the Kuntris, Haza over there, that when you want something from the Melech, it's better to find the Melech when he's in the Eitzer. When the Melech is found in the storehouse of money, that's when he'll give you money. If the Melech is involved somewhere else, what you want him to do is to come to be mislabish, to go out of himself, to be mitztayer in a new place. That's a much bigger uft. We want the Eibishter should give us refuah. Refuah comes from a certain midah of the Eibishter. You have to get the right name. If you're getting the right name, then it's not the Eir, the way is Pashut, Shema Etzem. It is the Eir, the way it's Mitzuyer, the way he's already in Chesed. Over here, the Eibishter is much more accessible. On Mele, you're going to be able to have the Eibishter, on the one hand, it's him himself, or Le'idach, it's him the way he's become Mitzuyer, lefi a certain Tchune. On Mele, it's going to be easier to get what I want. So, Kitzer, I have both minds. Sai the Kalim is Melubish and Kalim, or Le'idach, it's still Eir, on Mele, it's him himself. The Pardes dealt with all the issues that we began with. When a Yid davens, should he daven with Shemus or not? The answer is Shemus, yes, Midas, no. Because Shemus is referring to the Eir, not to the Kelim. Adkan is the cheshbon in the paradise. Now, but lamet zulegen, to go a bissel tiefer to understand the Mehusa in the way Chassidus is mevar. So again, we're not going out to the Baal Shem Tov yet. We're just understanding the paradise better. The musig of a name, Shem, has in it two opposites. On the one hand, what's a Shem? A Shem is the most chitzenistic thing. Shem, by definition, means, essence, a person is born without a name. A person could live his whole life without a name. The only reason why I have a name is because so somebody else should be able to refer to me. If I would be the only person in the world, not only would I not have a name, the musig name wouldn't make sense. Because name is here to differentiate, to make me distinct from something else. The ganze musig of a name is shaykh la'azulas. There's a lashon in Samachei, it comes from Friya, it's also in Nun Beis, and I think it's a very old lashon. It says that a name is like a beis yad likli, like a handle for a keli. What says? There is the keli itself, which is a pot, so whatever it is. The handle is kol inyoni, is just so somebody else should be able to use it. It's b'chlal nothing to do with the teichen adav. And that's a name. Ad kidei kach, that a name, it doesn't even show on the thing itself. Just like a beis yad lekli doesn't have to be show on what the teichen of the kli is. Yeah, like a handle of a pot. It could be a pot which is made of metal. You put on fire. You could make a wooden handle. The handle has nothing to do with the teichen. It's just fakert. It's made that it should be comfortable for me to hold it. It's a way for me to access it. It's nothing to do with the thing. Al derech zeh, a name has nothing to do with the thing. It's to do only with the way a person gave a shem akinoya, shem ataya, gave a name in order for me to use it. You see a very interesting phenomenon. That when you call someone's name, he turns around. Was heißt? But pashtos, when you call someone, when somebody's busy with something, yeah, Tzemach Tzedek in Eretera describes Baruch when somebody's occupied. So his whole nefesh is involved. So he's doing it, and his mind is there, and his heart is there, and you can't pull him away. So you could ask him, could you please leave what you're doing? So Zok that Tzemach Tzedek, not only is he not going to listen to you, he won't even hear you. Because he's involved in something. So what you could do is you could go over to him and Pasha grab him by his shoulders and to try to turn him around. But even then, soft, you're not going to get him. Why? Because his nefesh is not going to be here. His mind is still going to be occupied over there. But there's one trick which always works. You call his name. It's impossible for a person to hear his name and not turn around. Sometimes you have a person who hears his name and doesn't turn around. That's a decision. Naturally, instinctively, if you call my name, I become available. That's like, I just heard my name. Elamai, you decided, good, I want to continue learning. So I'm gonna help Zechaim. But Be'etzim, I already turned around. In Nefesh, I turned around already. And I turned around and I turned back. Could be. But when I hear my name, I'm pulled. Which is a meridik ezech. So l'chera, a name is only a nechitzeini legamri. Le'idach, a name is a beis yad, which taka is a handle to access the whole person. Now, let's be madgish over here. Who turns around? Not a gewisse kayach. It's not pshat is, I want your mind. Or I want your heart. No, he turns around. The mensch alone becomes available. So what's happening over here is, on this chitzenistic ezach accesses the etzema adam. Nochmer, not just as a name, nifne lekerev b'shmei. You see that a name does something more. A name, if a person is based alphos, you whisper his name into his ear, and you could wake up the klolos achayis which has become behelem in the person. So the whole person will be awakened by his name. Steht noch mehr von dem, that the chibur ha-nefesh in maguf is also through a name. That's the Ruach HaKodesh that parents have to know which name to use. So on the one hand, Hashem is in Chitzeni, on the other hand, Hashem nemt em alein mamash. Now, here's what's interesting. Lepoil, every name, does have a certain tzir. Reuven was called Reuven because of certain ma'asim. Shimon is Shimon because, Levi, apam yilov elayishi, there's a teichik. There's a reason why my name on anything, why anything gets a certain title. Ve'im kol zeh, it takes him himself. It takes the etzema adam. Lamra is the fact that it's because of a certain sin. Okay. That was just to explain what's the inyan of a name. Let's come back lefi zeh to our discussion. Our question is, what's the word of being mechaven b'shemis? Hat the Ramak Masber given the paradis that we're referring to the eris of the kelim, not the etzem, which is Shem Havaya, not the kelim, which is midas, chesed and gevura. We're referring to chazdon, giber, that Shem Keil, or elikim or shaka. Now we have a tifra understanding in what's the types that this is the Havana of Shemis. Why? Because this is the gather of Hashem. What is Hashem? Hashem is these two opposites. It's this mamutza. On the one hand, I'm in a tzir. I'm chesed. Yeah? Reuven and Shimon is Riyah and Shmiyah. Each name has its teichen. On the idach, what is it? It's I. It schleps the eye of the person. These two opposites is what a name is. Und mein Mail is verstandig, what's the agenda of saying Shemus of the Eibishter when a person davens? He's mechaven dafke to Shem Keil or dafke to Shem Shaka. Why? Because I don't want to say only Shema Etzem. Shema Etzem, it's good. It's not the way he's coming to a tzir. I also don't want to talk about the tzir alein, Inyan HaChesed or Inyan HaGvura, because then it's not him. I want him the way he is Mitzuyir. That's Eris the way they are in Kalim. And that's what Hashem is. That is the Agdora of Hashem. That it's Mitzad Echad Shayach LaAzulas, or Le'idach Nemt Em Alein into the Zulas. Olafize comes out very geschmack how every time a Yid, all the Yidden who daven, and every tefillah you have, it's all to the same Eibishter. Other, it's the way it's in a different tzir and a different cave. Okay. Till here is the parts. Is this verstandig? Shalom, gehst nicht abschlagen? No? You're being nice the first year. Okay.
We're going to discuss it on the WhatsApp group. We're going to start shlag up and fag up and
okay. Yes, nichts ist befangen, you know. Raten kann man tun, was man will.
Yeah.
Ja, sehr. Baal Shem Tov said a word which by Pashtus could have been understood to mean the same as the Pardes. Baal Shem Tov says the likus was is in Kalim, that's it. Now, without the Likutei Torah, or more specifically the Hagoyes of the Tzemach Tzedek of Likutei Torah, it sounds very similar. We're not talking about the Kalim, we're talking about the Eir which is made in the Kalim, the Likus. And that's the Havana of Shemus, like the Pardes says. It's Davuk, a love. But the Tzemach Tzedek in Likutei Torah, in the Hagoy, it's in the Eshevsheset Tishmeru, and it's also in Vayikra and the Yosef, and also in Eira Torah, in Yisrael. and in Shmeis, and these Eirateras over here that we're trying to, the Tzemach Tzedek proves Pashat al Pi Cheshbon that the Baal Shem Tov has to be saying something else, and it's a new mechudishtike mahalach in the Havonas Inyan Hashemus, which is Lefi Shittas Achsidus. What's the hechrich of the Tzemach Tzedek? So the Rebbe brings over here in the mamer, but let's just chew it over to make sure it's clear. The Arizal is mechalik zwischen Shemes Kela Lekim Chesed and Shem Ab Sag Ma'oba. What's the difference between the two kinds of Shemes? Kela Lekim Shakai V'chulu are in the Spheres, Chesed Gvur. Then there is Havaya, and Havaya has different sirufim. So Havaya, if you write Yudke Vovke, you could write B'mili Yudin or B'mili Alfin, different miluim, so you have different gematriyos come out. Shema Havaya is gematria 26, but if you write the full Yud Vov Dalet for Yud, yeah, and Hey or Hey Yud or Hey Aleph, so the way it's spelled, you could end up being Gematria 72 is Shem Ab, or Gematria 63 is Shem Sak. Now we know Ab, Sag, Ma'uban is Chochma Bina Zoh Malchus. So Zok da Arizal that the Kalim da Atzilis is the Shemus, Kela Lekim. The Eires is the names of Havaya in a different seal. Kela Lekim, Ab, Sag, Ma'uban. So basically the Arizal argued with the Ramak. The Ramak said that the Eires are the names Kela Lekim. Comes the Arizal and says, no, the Eires are Shem Havaya in the different Siyurim, Ab, Sag, Ma'uban. Kela Lekim V'chulu is Kela. So obviously the Baal Shem Tov, which goes B'shittas Arizal always, yeah, Chassidus goes with the Arizal. We can't be saying, like the Parda says, it's not true that Shemus is referring to the Eires, Shemus is referring to the Kalim. The Idach, it also doesn't make sense that Shemus is referring to the Kalim. How could Shemus be talking about Kalim? We're back to the issue. We're talking about the Eibishter. We're not talking about a certain Midas HaChesed or Midas HaGvura. Is the Faraz that Tzemach Tzedek Mechadesh Anu Hagdor. There's something in Memutza between the Kalim and the Eires, which is not Eir or Kli, it's the Chayis of the Kli. It's the Eires of the Kalim Guf. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov is referring to when he says, Elav Leila Midaisav. Midaisav is the Kalim. Eires is Shemavaya in its different Siyurim. Elav is the Chayis of the Kalim. That's the derech of the Baal Shem Tov. This is the way Akopanim Chabad explains the Baal Shem Tov. What's the Havon? So there's a mamer, a very sadistic mamer in the Siddur. Now, the Rebbe Siddur, Katistalik Minayu Ishtorik Gufa Blonish Mosen. And over there, the Rebbe is Mechadish, a Yesod, Benegea Kalim, which the Rebbe uses over here, I mean the Tzemach Tzedek uses it, and the Rebbe brings it to explain what does it mean, the Chayes of Kalim. And once we'll understand this Yisod, we'll see how it's a Yisod which is Negea Be'emes to the whole Shittas of Baal Shem Tov. It's a klonosike inyan, wie zu gucken auf der Eibishter und wie zu gucken auf Welt. It says that when the Eibishter will be mistalik from the spheres, so it will remain like a guf without a nefesh. So the obvious question is, what do you mean like a guf without a nefesh? If the Eibishter is mistalik from the spheres, they'll cease to exist. The Eibishter is not in the spheres like a nefesh to a guf. The spheres is a manifestation of the Eibishter. There's nothing else over here. Is lefize, zok the Alter Rebbe, from here is muchrich, that no, there's something called spheres which are not coming from the Eires. In other words, there's something called Kalim which have their own shirish, which has nothing to do with the Eir. And this is like the guf and his yachas to the nefesh. So let's begin with the guf and the nefesh. The pashtus is that the nefesh is machaya the guf. Leidoch, we see that when the nefesh is mistalek from the guf, you can have a dead person and there's still a body. There's something called a body without a nefesh. So obviously the chayis of the guf does not come from the nefesh. The chayis of the guf exists just like every daimim exists. A rock exists without a nefesh adam alubish in it, and a tree exists. So al derech zeh, the body exists because he exists. Elamai bazeh, why after a few months does he rot and disintegrate? Because the only thing which could be megala the chayis is for that you need the nefesh to be there. But even if there's a reshima of the nefesh, it still works for a few months. But al kapanim, the maker of the guf is not the nefesh. The maker is he has his own sheirish l'mayim. Al derech zeh, we have to say in spheres. Ubehektim. We know that the Arizal was megala the inyan at tzimtzum. So the Pardes doesn't know about the tzimtzum. But the Arizal told us that the Eibishter was Eretz of Malas Kolachol, meaning that there was Eira Blikvul, and there was no space for Tzir. What happened? The Eibishter was Mesalik Eira Agadol Alatzad, and it was Megala the Inyan of Tzir. What says? Just because you're Mesalik Alatzad, where did Gvul come from? How do we have now Tzir? So the answer is that when he was Mesalik Eira Agadol Alatzad, he doesn't make a Cholol Mamish, but he remains behind the Reshim. That's the idea. And the Reshimu is the mocker of Gvul. Then he's Chazer Veheir and you have Eiris. But the Kalim come from this Reshimu, which is an independent mocker separate from the Eiris. That's the Cheshbon. So, Lamer, אפשר bisschen mehr Masber sein, in der Sprache of Chassidus, the Hasbar. When a person learns the Inyan, so you could have the way the Inyan leicht by him is a Svar. Then you could have a Chitzenius of the Inyan, which is a practical din. Usually, when the svara is made by me, the practical din is just an expression of this svara. So, if I'm learning a din of Hametzim Chevel of Araya, I don't know what's going to be the practical application of Klain and Klain. I'm not talking about Metziasen, I'm talking about ideas. The Metziasen are just expressions of an idea. So therefore it's behel, it's lost. It's not that I don't have it. I have, obviously, if I have the idea, then you also have over there the pratim. But the pratim are behelim in the idea. Only when you misalik eir agad lalatzad, when you forget the eir haseichel, then you could be megala the pratim, the kalim, or the specific dinim, and then you could give over dinim to a child as if you're talking to him. You learn a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. I don't know the timing, I don't know anything. But in order to do that process, first you have to forget Keilu, the Eir. And then you could be Megala the Guf. So now, afterwards, I come and remember again the Svaras. Now I have two different things. I've separated the Svaras, and then there is Dinim. Zwei andere Sachen. Now here is afterwards when I come and I want to teach this child a elons. So I'm going to tell him this din that you know. There's also a svara, and I could bring a svara and put it into this din. And I'll explain to the din reich. Now, yesterday by me, the svara and the din was all one. I didn't even look at the svara separately. But now that I've separated them, I could have the din, and I could give a shir as a tam, kilo, as a chayis in the svara. Al derech zeh is the yachas between Eretz and Kelim. Livnei atzimtzum, the Kelim or the Gvul was the Helim in the air. I couldn't find Gvul separate from Bligvul. It was Ha'emes Matzim we called Tzad. It's so true. So obviously there's also over there Inyan of Gvul. But the Gvul is a prat in the bligvul. It's all because Shem Shesh Lekerech Bilti Bagvul, Kach Yesh Lekerech B'Gvul. The Gvul is Behelam over. The Tzimtzum manages to separate them. So Tzvei Inyanim. There's bligvul, there's a nice svara, and then there's a din. Once I have now Eres and Kelim, I could take the Eres and be malbush them into the Kelim and make a chayis. Now, what's going to happen if I take away the air from the Kli? I remove the hasbara from the din. The din will still remain. It will be a very dry and dead din. It will be a din without any logic, but it will still be a din. That's a touch. Ishtaru kegufa b'lanishmasa. I could technically take away the eres from the kelim, but kelim will still exist because now they have their own maker. What's the maker? The reshimu. Keich hagvul. There's a keich hagvul in the Eibishter l'mayla. Nothing to do with the bligvul. That's what the tzimtzum managed to do. What's the teichen of these kelim? Inyan hagvul. They have kilo their own chayis. What's the truth about a din? Because as I in Torah, that's the din. There's a time, has a logic to it. But that's not what the din is. Lefi zeh, kommt the Baal Shem Tov, and he says as there's a chayis in the kelim themselves. There's a truth to gvul. It's not true to say that what's the only thing there is in gvul as an expression of bli gvul. No. There's a value to gvul. What's the mila of gvul? It's a kum for the shimu. It's one of the Eibishter bli gvul and the Eibishter gvul. In a way, the Rebbe is mitzayin over here, the Rebbe Marash, it's even more than that. Not just is gvul also elikus, gvul in a way is even more because it shows that the Eibishter is not mugdir to being bli gvul. He's so not mugdir, lav dafki has to be bli gvul. The Eibishter has both in Yonim, there's bli gvul and there's gvul, and both of them could coexist. And lav dafka one is higher than the Eibishter. Mamela. There's a chayis in the kelim themselves. And that's a lukus. When I say love v'leilim mideisav zok the Baal Shem Tov, don't look for the era bligvul, which is in the kelim. Look for the chayis of the kelim themselves. That is the Eibishter. So let's just be misakim what just happened, and then maybe a bissel tesefes asbara to understand what Akoponim, like the bigger picture. What's the Baal Shem Tov looking to do? We started off that there's an issue in Lavalin Midday, so what's the type chains? One mahalach was the mahalach of the paradise, that we were machalik between Kelim, Eris, and Eira Bligvul. Kelim is the Midas, Eris is the Shemus, and there's the Eira Bligvul, which is Shema Etzem, that's the Atmos himself. But the Eris, which are behind the spheres, the Chazdon, that is him. Comes the Baal Shem Tov and says, no. The Chayis of the Elav Elel Mideisav, what should we daven to? Not to the air which is in the Kelim, not to the Chayis of the Kelim themselves. What's the taich? Because the Kelim themselves have their own maker, Al Derech HaGuf has his maker separate from the Nefesh, so too Kelim have their maker in Rishimu, in the Keich HaGvul L'mayla, so they have their own value, Kilu, their own validity. In other words, Mamela, that we're looking for the chayis of the Kelim themselves. So let's be metayirit a bissel different. Let's maybe go for a second to more of a Vedic word, and then we'll come back to talking the way it is in Achtas Hashem. When a Yid wants to have a chayis in a Ma'aseh mitzvah, there's two ways how I could have a chayis. One, so one even of having a chayis is, let's not look at the details, the Schweizer Ritzuas or the Dalet. Let's look at the Teich. And let's look at that, it's the Rotzen of the Eibishter. In other words, let's look for the Eibishter which is behind the tefillin, and not the tefillin, the technical tefillin. I'm escaping from tefillin. I'm just looking at tefillin as, look at the Eibishter behind it. Chassidus says, no, I'm the Eibishter in the tefillin. The Gvul itself is Alakus. Who decided that the Eibishter is only believable? The Eibishter could be believable in the Eibishter's Gvul. There's Eiris and there's Kalim. And the Chayas of the Kalim are not in any way less than the Eiris. Haistas, if you're looking for the Eibishter, find the Eibishter dafke in the Protim, in the Kalim, in these Tchunas. Keich HaGvul is not lower than Keich HaBligvul. If we're talking Achtas Hashem, yeah, so if I have approach of the Pardes, so how do I look at the Nivroin? Say, don't look around. You look at the Bria. Look at who made it. Mi Bara Eila. Don't look at the Bria. Look at that really it's all coming from the Eibishter, and it's all bottled to the Eibishter, because the Eibishter is unbelievable. Look at what's behind it. Comes the Baal Shem Tov and says, no, don't look at what's behind it. Look at what's in it. What's the chayas of Gvul, of every plant, and of every metzias? What's the chayas? Das is Alkus. Who decided that the Eibishter is something removed from the Bria, removed from Tzior? Fakert. The Eibishter is Esses Firis Datzilis, which is a mocker for every Tchona and Nivra in the world. The Eibishter is the chayas of the world, as the world is. And every Bria, Magodlu Masecha, Marabu Masecha, every in the Tchunas, that's where you're going to see the Eibishter. So the Eibishter is not some kind of klal which we're escaping to, away from Tzior. Faket, it's the chayas in Tzior itself. If we'll broaden this nekuda, it's going to be l'mashal shgacha pratis, or learning a hira from everything that's in the world. All these yesedas that the Baal Shem Tov taught are really all coming to say one thing: that there's a value in the bria. There's an inyan in tzir. Tzir is not a chisaron. Tzir and alakus are not stira. Fakert. Who decided the Eibush is only believable? So the Pardes goes to the Eiris. The Arizal, and the Baal Shem Tov is Masbid the Arizal, is we're talking about the Chayis and the Kelim themselves. Okay, see, we're running out of time, so let's just do the Alter Rebbe very quickly, and then next time the Alter Rebbe comes to a new Mahalach, which is a law in the Mites of Atzmus Aleh. Not the Chayis and the Kelim, and not the Eiris, not the Eibush. Like a child. Like the Alter Rebbe is Masbin in Paschalia, that when a Yid says Eibishter, he's referring to the Eibishter. And it's accurate. That's the Eibishter Alein. Like the Rebbe once said, the reason why Yidden call the Eibishter is because there's no other way to say it. Eibishter is, we're not saying the Rachman or Hagodl. We're just saying Eibishter in Yiddish means higher, removed. And that's Atzmus. It's not being minded anything. So when a Yid says Eibishter, and that's what we're looking for. In other words, L'cheire, Akoponim B'ashkafa Rishayna, what the Alter Rebbe is doing is he's being mashlim the other side of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov is saying that a love midesav, we're talking about the mile of tzir. Come to the Alter Rebbe and took it to the opposite extreme, not chayes and kelim. Eiris, not even Eiris, Atzmus Aleh. Now, obviously, there's a lot of holes over here. Medaf verstehen what's pshat in the Baal Shem Tov Mahalach L'chure. There's no real elav midesav. It's not davuk to the Eibush, chayes and kelim. It's very schwer to understand. Also, the fact that the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe are saying opposite things is also madnim. Is the Rebbe's mahalach over here in the Bosi Legani is a new mahalach which brings all this together and adds a new depth to everything. So that's what we'll see in Hashem next time. anyone has any ha'aris or hasagis, you're very welcome. Maybe Shalom, you can be fast in the number. No problem. We can upschlagen or write the email, wherever works. The ikir is as mizal kochen in avot chassidus.
All right. Shkoyach. You were saying earlier, we're going to get to the Baal Shem Tov basically bring out the mila of the gvul part of the Eibishter, that in the world itself, that itself is the toxin. The author was adding that, referring to the Eibishter himself. What do you mean the author, like, in what aspect was the author adding that?
So that's what's schwer. First of all, what's missing with the Baal Shem Tov? The Alter Rebbe was saying a new word, that a love le'lemidesa made atzmos. So we're not referring to the Chayes of Kain.
You say before the Baal Shem Tov was to the Eris, and the Baal Shem Tov Megala could even be to the Kain, and not there is. So he's not tiffer than the Baal Shem Tov. It's a whole nother.
That's the issue. L'chura, it's like another whole thing. Till Bosi Legani Chav Aleph, it's this whole part of the Alter Rebbe is like totally separate topic. It's nothing to do with our sugi. I tell you even more. If you want to get the Alter Rebbe is not talking about Shemus. How do we deal with Tzarech L'chavin B'Shem? Lefi the Ramak, B'Mechavin to Eres. Lefi the Baal Shem Tov, B'Mechavin to the Chayes and Kain. Lefi the Alter Rebbe. What happened to Kain or Lekim? What happened to the Shem? It's like ignoring the whole thing. It's a totally different word. So it's like very modern. The way the Rebbe is going to explain, it's all going to come together very, very bishmak. But the Pashtus, it's very shver.